Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Tales of Herding Gods based on novel. So let's start. Human Emperor Kongxian's gaze flickered, and he imparted secrets of strength word to Qin Mu. The youth mastered it in a short time once again, and when he executed it, the strength word formed by runes appeared behind him. With the accompaniment of the temperament of the strength word, the power of the runes was activated. And the strength of his corporeal body was multiplied. Human Emperor Kongxian was ineffably astonished. It was impossible to master spells with words in such a short time. When he had created the divine art, he was already middle-aged. He had cultivated along with Human Emperor Qing Ning and had astonishing attainments in temperament, but wanting to break free, he had started to study hard and achieved extremely high attainments in calligraphy, runes, formations, body movements, footwork, and fist skills as well. He had used dozens of years of his life to merge everything he had learned, and only then did he manage to create his ultimate art of spells with words, taking over as the Human Emperor and managing the Human Emperor's seal. All the sects in the martial world had been somewhat respectful of him. For Qin Mu to master his spells with words in just a short while, didn't this mean that he also had extremely high attainments in calligraphy, runes, formations, body movements, footwork, and fist skills? Even if he had extremely high attainments in all these fields, to master the ultimate art that he had spent dozens of years to merge in such a short time was just too astonishing. Qin Mu then learned secrets of fixed word which came out from the palm. The fixed word appeared in front of him, and it was mastered by him as easily as all the others. Human Emperor Kongxian grew more and more astonished. Suddenly, third ancestor spoke up. "Little Qin, come learn this move from me." Human Emperor Kongxian was awakened from his astonishment and looked around. Only then did he realize that the numerous human emperors had come down from the bridge some time ago and gathered around them. Even Lan Po, Yishan, Qi Kang, and the rest who had floated down were also present. They were all staring at Qin Mu with strange gazes. Human Emperor Kongxian was puzzled and moved to the side. Third ancestor raised his palm and said solemnly, "This move of mine is called yin-yang heaven flipping hands. The palm is yin and the back of the hand is yang. Left and right can supplement each other, or you can also do dual yin or yang, flipping the heaven with yin and yang." He explained the circulation path of his technique, and with a turn of his hand, pure yang rushed out like thunder, giving off a series of explosions on the river that rang 100 times. Throughout 10 miles, the palm force of the pure yang exploded, and waves were raised dozens of yards high. The palm of third ancestor flipped, and before the river water could land down, it instantly solidified and transformed into resplendent ice sculptures. "Try it," third ancestor said to Qin Mu while taking a step back. Qin Mu pondered over it before suddenly taking a step forward. When he turned his hand around as yang, a series of explosions rang out on the river, spreading throughout the 10 miles. Next, when he flipped his hand as yin and the palm force shot out, the river water froze in midair. Third ancestor raised his eyebrows but didn't say anything. "Brat Qin, learn this move from me." Fifth ancestor went up to him and said, "This move of mine is called Five Thunder Heaven Raising Bell, and it's the combination of thunder skill and fist skill." He punched out then. Instantly, a bell rang, and lightning coiled around his body, forming a huge transparent bell that rang in the air. Fifth ancestor moved skillfully, his fists and legs direct and efficient. His attack was simple yet effective. Any punch and any kick could make the bell vibrate, and the Five Thunder Heaven Raising Bell around him grew big at times and became small at others. It shook continuously, the power bursting forth from sometimes in a hum and sometimes in a haw. It had a certain kind of artistic mood and charm. He imparted his Five Thunder Heavenly Raising Bell to Qin Mu, who was full of anticipation. The youth muttered to himself irresolutely for a moment before suddenly raising his hands high up. Lightning covered him from above, and every punch and kick from him had great strength and were incomparably heavy. The ringing of a bell reverberated endlessly as Five Thunder Heaven Raising Bell shook without end. The power flowed through his fists and legs to strike out in all directions. Exactly the same. Fifth ancestor narrowed his eyes and let out a shaky breath. "Come, learn a move from me." Human Emperor Yi Shan went forward and said, "My divine art is compatible with my technique. A different circulation path of vital qi can transform divine arts, so that when they will burst forth, there will be astonishing power. This move of mine is called Celestial Cave and Milky Way hanging from Jade Heaven." Without noticing it, Qin Mu had learned a move or two from the divine arts of all 34 human emperors. He would master all of them in a short time and execute them like the real deal. In the same realm, the power was also not inferior at all. Second ancestor had a grim expression. He looked at third ancestor, fourth ancestor, and they all nodded silently. "Human Emperor Qin, go take a walk around the city," second ancestor said with a smile. "I've heard from Little Su that you are also the cult master of Heavenly Devil Cult. It's rare that you can come, so why don't you meet the past cult masters of Heavenly Devil Cult as well?" Qin Mu was delighted. "I was planning to." Second ancestor put away between life and death. The huge river, long bridge, and pleasure boat swooshed as they flowed back into his sleeve, and Qin Mu immediately turned back from a body of flesh and blood back to a skeleton wearing clothes. He inquired about the location where the past cult master of Heavenly Devil Cult stayed and begged his pardon from all of the human emperors. Only then did he return to the city and walk away. Second ancestor and the rest of the past human emperors returned to Sacred Hall of Five Young and looked at one another in dismay before lowering their gazes. "Is there such a mortal body? I can't believe it." Human Emperor Qi Kan let out a shaky breath and shook his head. "I won't believe even if you beat me to death." "I also don't believe." Human Emperor Lan Po revealed a look of disbelief and said, "We're all stubborn like a donkey and unwilling to learn from our masters, wanting to walk our own path no matter what. As a result, our Hall of Human Emperors never had an ultimate art that was properly passed down since everyone wanted to create their own. Different techniques, different divine arts, so if anyone wanted to learn our techniques and divine arts, it would be really strange. But he managed to learn all of them, and in little time. In the short while we spent on the river, he learned everything that we taught him and could use it freely as though he had put in 100 years of hard work." Second ancestor sighed and said, "I suspect he is truly an overlord body. Little Su might be right by accident. This child that he underestimated since he was young is truly the one and only overlord body." Everyone was suspicious, and Human Emperor Qi Kang said, "Do you think that brat Su was trying to make a fool of us? He should have known that brat Qin was a true overlord body, but purposely said that he was lying to him while in truth he was lying to us to humiliate us. There's this possibility." Human Emperor Yi Shan slapped his thigh fiercely and shouted out, "That's your style, brat. He is your disciple, so he is definitely like you, lying without blinking his eyes." Human Emperor Qi Kang's fists crackled from his clenching and he sneered. "The brat went to find first ancestor. When he comes back, see how will I teach him a lesson." "It's how will we teach him a lesson," everyone sneered in unison. At that moment, in secret territories in the depths of great ruins, there was a faint glow in the darkness. Village Chief floated through an ancient ruin, coming to another wonderful world. After walking for a moment, he finally revealed a smile. In front of him was a cluster of ancient buildings that had an interesting and appealing grace of a foreign land that the current generation didn't possess. He searched for a moment and finally found the person he was looking for. The man stood in front of a stone tablet beside a palace, reading the inscriptions there. "What's first ancestor looking at?" Village Chief asked curiously. "This is the last ruin of High Emperor era. When the celestial heavens of High Emperor era were wiped out, the remaining survivors escaped here and rebuilt High Emperor Sanctuary. This place was akin to their carefree village, but it was wiped out later on. I'm looking for their history." First ancestor didn't look back. "The records they left behind are too few, but I found this." Village Chief was slightly stunned while looking at the stone tablet. "What's recorded there?" "The legend of the overlord body from 40,000 years ago." Village Chief felt as though he had been struck by lightning and stood dumbfounded in front of the stone tablet. Legend of the overlord body? From 40,000 years ago? Wasn't overlord body something he made up to fool Qin Mu and the people in the village? Could this world truly have an overlord body? No. There must some mistake here. Maybe the overlord body from 40,000 years ago isn't the same as the overlord body I explained. His heart was flustered, and all kinds of thoughts flooded him. However, village chief was village chief, so he soon cleared his mind. Maybe there's truly an overlord body in this world, which is a kind of spirit body. Since it was too strong, it was called overlord body by others. This kind of overlord body would be completely different from the overlord body that I made up. He composed himself and looked at the stone tablet. The inscriptions were written using the writings of the dragon race, so village chief could only ask first ancestor for help. What's written here? The writings of the dragon race are profound and hard to understand, and I've not learned them before. First ancestor was very easy to talk to and said, what's written is that before High Emperor fell, my family of the dragon race had met a youth who called himself the overlord body. He was talented in many fields and could do what others couldn't. He was unmatched among his peers. He had a luminous charm and his talent was matchless. No matter if it was sword skills or divine arts, they surpassed High Emperor era by leaps and bounds. Thus, they asked him what was overlord body. The youth then explained that overlord body was matchless. Before the spirit embryo awakened, it would look like a mortal body. But once it was awakened, it gained supreme power and topped his own generation while also possessing exceptional aptitude. The corners of village chief's eyes twitched. Qin Mu was different from the other spirit bodies because he wasn't a spirit body at all. The spirit embryo divine treasure of a spirit body was awakened at the start, yet Qin Mu's spirit embryo divine treasure had been shut. The spirit embryo divine treasure of an ordinary person was also shut, so they couldn't cultivate. On the other hand, under the lies of village chief and the aid of the villagers, Qin Mu had actually opened the spirit embryo divine treasure that couldn't be opened. From then on, he improved at a godly speed and showed rapid progress. This kind of situation was actually very similar to what was written on the stone tablet. It must be a coincidence. Village chief composed himself and listened once more to what first ancestor was saying. Overlord body cultivates, it surpasses other spirit bodies by a huge margin. Its comprehension is outstanding, understanding everything straight away and able to comprehend by analogy, deducing many things from one case. The overlord body is matchless, but there are still enemies in this world, the things known as pseudo-overlord bodies. Village chief shook his head and blurted out, what? What's written on it says that even though the overlord body is matchless, there is still pseudo-overlord bodies that are its enemies, first ancestor explained patiently. It's written that overlord body and pseudo-overlord bodies fight over fate, having a connection between them. Pseudo-overlord bodies will fight overlord body to seize its fate, making themselves into the true overlord body. How weird, why is there such a marvelous physique? I'm ashamed to say this, but when I heard about this overlord body in the past, I had only treated it as a legend. Never had I expected that legend to be real. Village chief's mind was blown, but after a moment, he came back to his senses and stuttered, First ancestor, you have heard about the legend of the overlord body before. First ancestor nodded. I've heard once before, but I've never seen the overlord body. I only treated it as a legend. His expression became weird. There actually exists such a fresh and outstanding overlord body. Village chief was silent. He suddenly felt that the surrounding world had become preposterous and variegated. Could the overlord body that he had made up really exist? On top of that, could it be exactly the same as the lie he used to contain Qin Mu? Wasn't this too inconceivable? Back then, to placate the villagers, he had said the first lie about Qin Mu being an overlord body. Over the years, he had to add to that lie to cover up himself, and he had created the full system of overlord body. Yet somehow the stone tablet's description of the overlord body was exactly the same as his overlord body system. He had used those same words to lie to others. But now when reading about it on the stone tablet, he was starting to believe it himself. The stone tablet was right in front of him, so he had no choice but to believe. Yet village chief was still struggling. He thought of the crux and hurriedly asked, if there was really an overlord body, why would High Emperor era still be wiped out? It's not written. First ancestor looked over with sorrow and said in a depressed voice, in the face of the billowing wind, the power of one person is too insignificant. So what if he was the overlord body? Wouldn't he still be unable to quell the disturbance in the universe and reinstate peace to the bright world? This overlord body may have been killed before he even grew up. Or maybe his fate had been seized by a pseudo-overlord body, or he could have abandoned himself to despair at being powerless during the end of High Emperor era, hiding somewhere full of remorse and becoming a tortoise like me. There are simply too many possibilities. A person is simply too minute in the face of history. He seemed to be talking about his own circumstances when talking about the overlord body from 40,000 years ago. When he finished, he sighed and didn't speak anymore. Village chief examined the stone tablet from both sides before growing excited. He took out some ink and paper to record the writings on the stone tablet. First ancestor raised his eyebrows, and village chief smiled and said, "I'm going to write down these things and bring them back for the other human emperors to see. The true overlord body, there is really an overlord body. I've taken a true overlord body as my disciple for the human emperor position. Look at this stone tablet, it will definitely make me happy." First ancestor examined him with astonishment before continuing on his way. According to the stone tablet, High Emperor Sanctuary was wiped out after High Emperor era ended. I can't help being worried about Carefree Village, too. Village chief immediately caught up to him and asked, "What first ancestor mean is?" "I'm worried about Carefree Village," first ancestor said solemnly. "I haven't gotten any news of Carefree Village for a long time. Even though it had sent messages a few times and passed down founding emperor's orders, I'm suspecting that it's no longer the dauntless, go-getter founding emperor from before. Carefree, he. He who gives no thought to far-flung problems soon finds suffering nearby. They've been staying too long in Carefree Village. I was against building it back then and wanted to fight to the end." Village chief muttered irresolutely to himself before asking, "So the purpose of first ancestor was to find the people of founding emperor era? High Emperor era has been gone for way too long, so it's impossible for any survivors to have lasted till now. No? There are still people alive?" First Emperor looked around. This High Emperor Sanctuary had gathered the survivors of High Emperor era and gone through numerous years of development. Their power wasn't small and wouldn't be any inferior to that of the current Carefree Village. This place was later invaded by enemies, and I found from the scattered records from the ruin outside that there were people who escaped alive to create another hometown. I wanted to find them to ally them with Carefree Village so maybe we could do something big. Village chief was solemn for a moment. If the most flourishing period of founding emperor era couldn't overthrow the heaven, then even if you find the former subordinates of founding emperor, your chances will be far inferior to those of the flourishing period. If you didn't find them to ally together during your strongest, what's the use of finding them now? First ancestor expression grew pained, and he said astringently, "I know. But I also know that if they continue to hide in Carefree Village and not do anything, there will be no hope forever. I need to do something, be busy. If I stay quiet, my thoughts run wild. I see my comrades dying in front of me, I see the disaster wiping out all the people, I see people struggling in a terrifying place like hell. I need to do something." He was insistent and full of his obsession. However, village chief understood his feelings and sentiments. "I'll go with you." When Qin Mu came to the residence of the past cult masters of Heavenly Saint Cult in Fengdu, he looked around and saw numerous ghost messengers and ghost servants hurrying about. Compared to the impoverished past human emperors of Hall of Human Emperors, this place was much more bustling with ghosts coming and going. The palaces were also extraordinarily imposing, making it obvious that the past cult masters of Heavenly Saint Cult received the offerings of Heavenly Saint Cult. They weren't like the past human emperors of Hall of Human Emperors who because of the sparse number of people had no one to sweep their tombs and were all poverty-stricken. Only first ancestor, whose corporeal body was petrified and stood in Little Jade Capital, still received some offerings from time to time, so there were some rations at his home, enough to give material assistance to second ancestor, third ancestor, and the rest. The palaces of Heavenly Saint Cult stood in row upon row with glazed tiles and vermilion rafters. They were richly ornamented and had layers of towers and pavilions. Between palaces were various formations of long corridors as passageways to connect the palaces together. Numerous imps carried all kinds of bouquets and fruit plates all the time. The whole place was bustling with activity. Qin Mu sighed ruefully. The people here had also become ghosts, but the treatment was much different. He went to one palace and raised his head up to look. The place was called Hall of Zhu Yang, so he thought, could this be the palace hall of Cult Master Zhu Yang? Cult Master Zhu Yang was the heavenly saint cult master before Li Qianxing. Qin Mu didn't know much about his past achievements, just that Saint Arrival Mountain had a hall of Zhu Yang. Never did he expect that there would be one in Fengdu as well. In front of the hall was a young person carving a guardian lion with a chisel. Beside him, some imps were picking up shattered rocks. Qin Mu was about to enter the hall when that youth asked, "What are you here for?" Qin Mu smiled and said, "I'm here to find Cult Master Zhu Yang." The youth examined him up and down before placing down his hammer and chisel. Beside him, an imp lifted a jade plate to take them. Another imp fetched a jade basin for him to wash his hands while another imp offered a towel. The youth cleaned his hands and asked in astonishment, "You have never seen Cult Master Zhu Yang before? You are Cult Master Zhu Yang?" Qin Mu asked in astonishment. The youth nodded with a smile. "I am. I see you are all bone, so you should still be alive. But what's weird is that you aren't Li Qianxing. He was my disciple, so I wouldn't forget him. You are the next cult master?" His interest was roused and he asked excitedly, "You got rid of Li Qianxing?" Qin Mu hurriedly shook his head and said, "Cult Master Li's soul has already scattered. He risked his life against Xing'an, but he didn't manage to defeat him. Even though I couldn't stand Cult Master Li's character, he still knew how to repent right before he died. It was truly at me." "His soul scattered? Wonderful." Cult Master Zhu Yang clapped with a laugh. "Wonderful death. During my later years, I didn't want to give up the position, so that brat took advantage of me when I was cultivating 9 with a 9 Thrive mystery technique and challenged me while my chi and blood had withered. He heavily injured me and seized the position of the cult master. I was severely injured, but when my life came to an end, that scoundrel still came to shed crocodile tears in front of my grave." Qin Mu was flabbergasted. After a moment, he asked, "May I ask, where is Heavenly Saint Patriarch?" "Who is Heavenly Saint Patriarch?" Cult Master Zhu Yang was stunned for a moment before he came to realization. "You are talking about my little senior uncle, right? During the later years of my grandmaster, he took in a disciple. My little senior uncle had never been the cult master before, and he was even younger than me. After I beat my master to death, he actually blamed me, so wanted to get rid of him too. However, I was afraid of the people in the cult complaining, so I gave him an idle appointment to be the Heavenly Saint Cult Patriarch, sending him far, far away. Master, over here. The little cult master of our Heavenly Saint cult is here to visit us." A black-robed man walked out of the palace from the side. He also had a handsome appearance and looked 30-40 years old. He had a majestic appearance and was extraordinarily handsome. When he heard the words, he came over and asked in astonishment, "Little cult master, our Heavenly Saint cult has changed another cult master? How did you die?" Cult Master Zhu Yang smiled, "Little cult master hasn't died yet. Look, he is in a skeleton form. He's here to find your junior brother, which is my little senior uncle." The black-robed man walked over and examined Qin Mu. He smiled then. "You are indeed not dead. Have you taken in a disciple?" Qin Mu immediately greeted him and said, "Greetings, Cult Master Yu Lian. I have yet to take in a disciple." "Don't take in a disciple so soon. The sooner you take one in, the sooner you will die. Look, I was assassinated by my good disciple." Cult Master Yu Lian turned around and showed sword in the back of his chest. He then repeated his warning with good intentions. "Look, this sword was stabbed there by my good disciple." Cult Master Zhu Yang was pleased with himself and said with a smile, "Master, you still have the face to carry that sword. What did you say when you assassinated Grand Mistress?" Cult Master Yu Lian chuckled with a pleased expression. "Your Grand Mistress wanted to pass down the position to little junior brother, so if I didn't assassinate her, how could I have become the Cult Master Sacred Teacher? How would you then have been able to assassinate me to become Cult Master?" "That's right, Who did little cult master assassinate to become the cult master sacred teacher? Qin Mu's face blackened. Only after a moment did he remember that he had no face to turn black. Heavenly Devil cult's tradition seemed a little different from what he had imagined. Not only was there no 3 knives and 6 holes punishment for assassinating a cult master, it was actually a kind of traditional virtue. The cult masters treated assassinating the cult master to take their position as an honor. I never assassinated anyone. I was chosen by Heavenly Saint Patriarch who promoted me to the cult master, Qin Mu said while holding back his temper. Master! Master! Cult Master Yu Lian waved to a young girl. Little cult master is here, and he's a freak. He actually didn't assassinate the previous cult master and just stepped up to the position of the cult master. The young girl walked out of her palace and headed over to their side. She then said in astonishment, there actually was such an incident? You didn't seduce your master, spoil their Dao heart, or make them lose to you in a fight. Qin Mu shook his head. Nope. It was Heavenly Saint Patriarch who made the decision and passed the position to me. Spoiling the tradition of my Heavenly Saint cult? The young girl was charming, with 2 big silver and glittering earrings on her ears. But she had a slight look of disdain toward Qin Mu as she said, fighting with brains and brawns with the master is the fine tradition of my Heavenly Saint cult, and you actually threw away this tradition. How boring. If you don't challenge the master, how can the next generation become stronger than the previous one? Your position as the cult master is not attained through proper methods. Qin Mu was flabbergasted and didn't know what to say. The young girl should have been from Sai family, and according to the sequence of the past cult masters, she should be cult master Sai Yuanwei, an ancestor of Granny Sai. Sai family rarely had a cult master, but there were still 1 or 2. Sai Yuanwei was one of them. I was originally the saintess of the sacred cult, but then I made cult master Fu Yun fall crazy in love with me and spoiled his Dao heart. Cult master Fu Yun then sighed ruefully and said that the sacred cult would definitely be even stronger in my hands, so he enlightened me and expounded my wisdom. Yet you relied on Patriarch's assistance to get the position of the cult master, so you are illegitimately conferred. Cult master Zhu Yang sneered. Grand Mistress, the one that passed the position to him is my little senior uncle, so now you know how wrong it was to pass the position to little senior uncle, right? Little senior uncle spoiled the long-lasting tradition of my Heavenly Saint cult after becoming Heavenly Saint Patriarch. This little cult master didn't get rid or even heavily injure the previous cult master and still had the face to visit us. Sai Yuanwei's face turned slightly red. I thought little Wen Yuan looked handsome and would spoil my Dao heart, seizing the position of the cult master from me, so I never expect your master to assassinate me. However, Wen Yuan really broke my heart by doing such a thing. Isn't he already dead? We can then get him over to ask. Master Hu Jun, have you seen Wen Yuan? A bewitching handsome man walked over with a smile. I've seen him just now. He was being bothered by a huge skeleton which said to come from the world of the living. It wrapped around him and wept, making him cry a great deal as well. He should be somewhere wiping his snot now. This is our sacred cult's new cult master, Sai Yuanwei said heedlessly. His position of cult master didn't come properly. It was actually not fought for but passed down. How embarrassing. Something like that actually happened? Cult master Hu Jun's face turned cold and he sneered. Of course, each age brings forth a new genius on this noble land, and each generation is worse than the previous. The men of today have sadly degenerated, and even a sacred cult master's position is no longer even fought for. Do you have a firm hold of your empire? Qin Mu remained patient. Fellow cult masters, I was supported by the hall masters of 360 halls and the protectors and the heavenly kings. Only then did I ascend to the position of the cult master. Truth be told, the sacred cult has flourished more and more in my hands and far surpasses the past. Big words. Another few past cult masters walked over, and a handsome man sneered when he heard his words. Flourished more and more? I've heard that Eternal Peace Empire is the one in power now in the world of the living. It has annexed the world, so how are you making the sacred cult flourish? Are you going to betray the cult to seek glory, allowing the emperor to become the cult master. Qin Mu held back his anger and smiled. "Who is this?" The handsome man spread open his folded fan and said, "You have not gone to Hall of Yu Guang on my Saint Arrival Mountain? I'm Cult Master Yu Guang." Qin Mu laughed loudly and said, "I've never paid my respects to the rotten woods in the halls before. On Saint Arrival Mountain, I only respect Woodcutter, Founding Master, and also the Three Kings. Other cult masters in my eyes are merely flies and not worthy of my respect." "How daring!" Another few cult masters came forward and Qin Mu looked over. All of the people were all handsome men and pretty women. It created an obvious difference between Heavenly Devil Cult and Hall of Human Emperors. No matter if it was men or women, anyone could be a human emperor in Hall of Human Emperors since they didn't care about their looks, letting their complexions grow old. They would rarely preserve their youth. But the cult masters of Heavenly Saint Cult were different. Great educational Heavenly Devil scriptures had 7 writings of creation, and cultivating them could allow one to preserve their looks forever. They could even return their appearance back to when they were youths. Qin Mu looked at the sacred cult masters. They were mostly young men and women who looked beautiful. Even the young patriarch looked young and paid attention to his appearance. Little cult master also most likely didn't pay his respects to me, Feng Qiangu in Hall of Qiangu, right? Cult Master Qiangu walked forward and sneered. Your position of the cult master was passed down and not snatched using your own strength. Your origin is improper and you still dare say that we are flies and don't deserve respect. What do you have that deserves our respect? That's right, you are illegitimately conferred, so how do you have the face to visit us and meet your ancestors? You don't even respect the rules of the sacred cult and show no respect to us, your ancestors. Aren't you deceiving the master and destroying your ancestors at such a young age? Little cult master. This continued for a while. Silence. Qin Mu shouted in anger when he could no longer take it. The surroundings became quiet. Qin Mu laughed loudly and unfolded his robes to both sides while saying loudly, "When I succeeded the position, the followers' livelihood had been close to destitution, and there were many things waiting to be done. This was the mess that the previous cult master, Li Qianqing, had left for me. After stepping into my position, I reformed the merits and drawbacks, allying us with eternal peace to expel Buddhism and inflict serious damage on Tao sect, causing these 2 big sacred grounds to concede defeat. I changed the laws and cleared the way, expanded the teachings, set up school hall, founded Heavenly Saint Academy, gathered the paths, skills, and divine arts of all sects and cults in the world to correct the reputation of my cult. I founded the 18th sword form and established the primordial spirit in 6 directions. The men of my cult are now located prominently in the 10,000 miles from the east to the west. The highest one is Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor and the lowest ones are commoners and pawns. In all levels of society, there are people of our cult. With my cultivation of 7 stars realm, I've already achieved this much." He looked around the past sacred cult masters of Heavenly Devil Cult and sneered. "What about you guys? Under your hands, the sacred cult had fallen into the devil path and was called Heavenly Devil Cult, being scolded and dismissed by everyone. What is called the path of the saint is none other than the everyday use of common people, yet you had taken a perfectly fine path of the saint and refined it into the path of the devil, turning it into the devil cult. A saint has to establish his virtue, his merit, and his ideas in writing, so what have you guys done? I respect Saint Woodcutter for imparting his scriptures on the rock and imparting skills to all ages. I respect Founding Master for expounding the wisdom of an ancient sage, founding a cult and establish his ideas in writing. I respect the 3 cult masters of Hall of 3 Kings who sacrificed themselves in moments of danger to preserve the inheritance. But what about you guys?" Qin Mu sneered. "What merit have you established? What virtue? What ideas? Misinterpreting the teachings, cultivating devil techniques, making Heavenly Saint Cult have to carry the reputation of a devil cult. How do I have the face to meet the ancestors? Have the merits you guys established been as big as a finger of mine? Are you guys qualified to be cult masters? Qualified to be sacred teachers? I'm not here to find you guys, since you guys are mediocre and don't even possess the face to meet me." The surroundings went silent. The sacred cult masters of Heavenly Saint cult were even more numerous than the human emperors of Hall of Human Emperors, but most of them had died miserably, so their cultivations hadn't been high enough to enter Fengdu. Thus the number of sacred cult masters in Fengdu wasn't that much higher. Even so, there were close to 30 cult masters gathered, and they were another huge force in Fengdu that few people dared to provoke. Qin Mu's long speech had blown everyone's mind, and the situation had grown terrifyingly cold. Suddenly, the young patriarch's voice reached them. "What's happening? Everyone's here. I'm late. Qin Mu looked over and saw cold sweat on the young patriarch's forehead. He was hurrying over with the large skeleton of Dragon Qilin following closely behind him. The young patriarch hurried over and squeezed into the crowd. The cold sweat on his forehead grew as he chuckled. "Cult masters, how did a simple talk escalate into a quarrel? This is the current Heavenly Saint cult master, outstanding talent in the present age that holds to the teachings on the rocks. Cult Master Qin is here to find me, so let's go, come to my place for a seat." The disciples of the sacred cult had burned quite some good things for me. The heavenly devil cult masters in the surroundings were motionless. Cold sweat rolled down young patriarch's forehead as he tugged onto Qin Mu's clothes. He gritted his teeth and said, "Your words are too ruthless. Lower your head and apologize to the ancestors." "Apologize? There's no need for that." Cult Master Zhu Yang laughed loudly and said leisurely, "Cult Master Qin's small body could actually explode with such astonishing words that were so loud that even the deaf could hear." We were all stunned. The young patriarch's expression changed slightly. Cult Master Zhu Yang seemed to be angered, for the more pleasant his smile was, the greater was his fury. Qin Mu smiled and said, "Cult Master Zhu Yang is trying to imply something, so why won't he speak his mind?" The young patriarch was very anxious while Cult Master Zhu Yang just smiled. The cult master of Heavenly Saint cult should be good in a fight and not talk with a glib mouth. Your position of the cult master was attained improperly, but since Li Qianqing is already dead, why don't we old bones substitute him to test you? Let's see if you have the right to be the cult master sacred teacher. The young patriarch hurriedly tugged on the corner of Qin Mu's shirt, signaling for him to reject. To fight on the same realm? Truth be told, I just beat everyone in Hall of Human Emperors. Qin Mu gently pushed his hand away and said with a smile, "All the human emperors of Hall of Human Emperors are top-notch figures, and fighting them was tiring. As for fellow past cult masters, if we are fighting on the same realm," his voice grew indifferent. "Come up all at once." The sweat rolled down young patriarch's forehead like rain. The expressions of the past cult masters changed drastically, and Cult Master Yu Lian chuckled. "Cult Master Qin is enthusiastic, but for us to go all together, aren't you too haughty? For example, let me first test Cult Master Qin's methods." Qin Mu shook his head. "Your realm isn't enough. One realm is one heaven, one frame of mind is one pass. I stand on top of the pass while looking at all of you, seeing everything clearly. I'm asking all of you guys to come together because I'm respectful of the elderly. If Cult Master Yu Lian wants to fight me alone, wouldn't you be overestimating yourself?" The young patriarch sighed and took in a long breath before saying solemnly, "Cult Master Sacred Teachers, you have to keep your promises when you speak. Everyone seal your celestial being, life and death, and divine bridge, these three great divine treasures. As for whether you guys want to fight alone or go together, it's all up to you guys. Anyway, I'm not the sacred cult master, so just do what you like." Cult Master Yu Lian was the first to seal his three great divine treasures and take a step forward. With a shout, his devil technique burst forth. His great educational heavenly devil scriptures walked down the devil path, and he was truly a great master of the devil path. He had comprehended the paths, skills, and divine arts in great educational heavenly devil scriptures to the extremes of the devil path. Taking one step was a series of specters. Great educational heavenly devil scriptures are merely an incomplete writing of my overlord body 3 elixir technique, yet it was still refined into the devil path by you. Qin Mu narrowed his eyes and struck out with a palm. He was fast as lightning in hitting the specters. Great overarching heavenly stars palm force. Boom! Cult Master Yu Lian flew back and created a human-shaped hole in Hall of Su Yang. Next, a series of rumbles rang out from the hall. Cult Master Yu Lian had crashed through over a dozen walls and still couldn't stop. Finally, a mushroom cloud appeared 10 miles away. It was impossible to say how many things he had hit before coming to a stop. Everyone was yet to come back to their senses when Qin Mu moved and came to the back of Cult Master Zhu Yang. The man's reaction was extremely fast, and he pounced forward, transforming into a shadow that stuck to the floor. Qin Mu stomped the floor, and the ground split apart, creating a deep ditch. Cult Master Zhu Yang's true body was shaken out from the black shadow form, and a knife slashed down straight at his face. He shouted in anger, and Black Tortoise body appeared. The huge shield split when it met the knife and he got blown away with two halves of the broken shield. Qin Mu rushed into the group of the past cult masters and moved around like a phantom. Everyone was astonished, but they didn't waste time before retaliating upon sensing his attacks. Bang, bang, bang. A series of explosions rang out when Cult Master Yu Guang's divine art hit Feng Qiangu's body, and Feng Qiangu's devil sword stabbed into Sai Yuanwei's chest. In an instant, everyone was in a mess. The young patriarch immediately moved back to avoid being caught by the fray. He then saw the ground splitting and shattering. The entire hall of Zhu Yang broke into pieces under the attacks of numerous divine arts, and the broken hall floated into the sky. Everyone was leaping around the debris. Their heads were sometimes up and sometimes down. Sometimes they were shadows on some pillar, and sometimes they transformed into flying or jumping beasts. What you used is Dao Sword of Dao Sect, you traitor! A past cult master roared angrily as he suffered hundreds of swords. He then collapsed headfirst. Scoundrel, this is Great Thunderclap Monastery's technique. This is the divine art of Little Jade Capital. What sword skill is this? Bang, bang, bang. Figures fell down while the shattered palace rose higher and higher. On the glazed tiles and the vermilion rafters, Qin Mu and Cult Master Hu Jun's bodies crossed. Qin Mu used secrets of seal word to seal the five senses of his opponents. He then turned around and used Yin Yang heaven flipping hands, and with a raise and lowering of his palm, he made Cult Master Hu Jun puke blood as he fell. The glazed tiles of the huge hall split apart as Cult Master Yang Ji came over. But what welcomed him was a huge divine art from Qin Mu, Celestial Cave and Milky Way hanging from Jade Heaven. The 10,000 stars brought a terrifying palm force to descend from the sky, breaking through Cult Master Yang Ji's divine art like it was rotten wood. Qin Mu's palm ruthlessly smacked him down to the ground with a Milky Way. Boom! In the air, numerous crumbling fences and dilapidated walls fell down, and the ground shook violently. Where numerous heavenly devil cult masters had landed, there was a huge palm that had an area of 3 to 5 fields. Weak old thieves, unable to withstand a single blow. Qin Mu landed on the ground and dusted off his clothes. He looked at the dumbfounded young patriarch and smiled. Patriarch, let's go to your place for a talk. This video will end here.